If you look at big lakes in California, like Lake Mead or Lake Oroville, you can see a white line on the rocks. People call this a bathtub ring. This white mark shows where the water level was many years ago. Today, the water is much lower. The ring is a clear sign of a big problem for the state. California has a serious water crisis. This crisis is not just a normal drought. A drought is a long time with very little rain. But in California, the problem is older and deeper. It is the result of a central paradox. A paradox is a situation with two opposite ideas that are both true. Most of California is a very dry land. Many areas get less than 10 inches of rain each year. But at the same time, California is a huge agricultural powerhouse. It grows about half of the fruits, nuts, and vegetables for the entire United States. How is this possible in such a dry place? People made it possible with engineering. They built a huge system to move water from one place to another. This system has giant dams to stop rivers and create large man-made lakes called reservoirs. The system also has very long canals, like concrete rivers, to carry water across hundreds of miles. Water is taken from the wet north, where there is more rain and snow. It is then sent to the dry south and the Central Valley, where most of the big farms are. This amazing system changed the arid land into a green garden. It was one of the greatest engineering projects in history, but it was also a big risk. The system was built with the idea that the climate would not change and there would always be enough water. The water shortages you hear about today are not a new problem. They are just the newest chapter in a very old story. For more than 100 years, there has been a fight for water in California. It is a long war between people's big dreams and the state's natural limits. This is the story of that constant battle for water. 2. A valley's water. Before Los Angeles became a big city, the Owens Valley was a green place full of life. It was home to the Paiute people, a Native American group. They had lived there for a very long time and understood the land. They knew that water from the mountains was very important. They built a smart system of small canals to move water to their farms and villages. This system did not fight nature, it worked with it. This kept the valley's fields green and its large lake, Owens Lake, full. The Paiute people used the water carefully and sustained their community for many years. 2. A valley's water. Before Los Angeles became a big city, the Owens Valley was a green place full of life. It was home to the Paiute people, a Native American group. They had lived there for a very long time and understood the land. They knew that water from the mountains was very important. They built a smart system of small canals to move water to their farms and villages. This system did not fight nature, it worked with it. This kept the valley's fields green and its large lake, Owens Lake, full. The Paiute people used the water carefully and sustained their community for many years. But far to the south, the city of Los Angeles was growing very fast. It was a dusty town that needed much more water for its people and businesses. William Mulholland was the city's main water engineer. He had big plans for Los Angeles. In 1904, he traveled to the Owens Valley. When he saw the Green Valley and its river, he had an idea. He believed this water was the key to making Los Angeles a great and powerful city. Los Angeles got the water in a secret and dishonest way. William Mulholland worked with a former city mayor, Fred Eaton. Eaton went to the Owens Valley and pretended to be a rich farmer. He secretly bought land and important water rights from the local people. The farmers did not know he was buying the water for Los Angeles. After the city had control of the rights, work began on a giant new project, the Los Angeles Aqueduct. It took 6 years and thousands of workers to build the long water channel. When the aqueduct opened in 1913, water started flowing 233 miles from the valley to the city. The results were terrible for the Owens Valley. The green land started to turn brown and dry. The huge Owens Lake disappeared and became a dusty, empty place. The local farmers and residents were angry. They had lost their water and their farms. They started to fight back in the California water wars. During the 1920s, they used dynamite to destroy parts of the aqueduct. But Los Angeles had more money and power. The city won the war, and the Owens Valley was left dry. 3. Big dams, big canals. The Los Angeles Aqueduct was a great success for the city. It showed that people could move large amounts of water over long distances. This success gave California's leaders even bigger ideas. They started to think about changing the water system for the entire state. This was the beginning of a new time of building giant water projects across California. The first huge project was for the Central Valley. This is a very large, flat area in the middle of California. The soil there is very good for farming, but the land is naturally very dry. In the 1930s, the federal government started the Central Valley Project, or CVP. The plan was to capture water from rivers in the north and move it south. The project was massive. It included 20 dams and about 500 miles of large canals. The most famous part is Shasta Dam. This huge concrete dam created California's largest reservoir. The CVP worked. It brought reliable water to the valley, and millions of acres of desert became rich farmland. Towns in the valley grew into cities. The CVP was so successful that the state decided to build an even bigger system. This was the State Water Project, or SWP, which started in 1960. This project was more ambitious. Its main purpose was to serve the fast-growing cities of Southern California, which needed more water. The center of the SWP is the California Aqueduct. This is a 444-mile-long concrete canal that moves water from the north. It is the longest water transport system in the world. The biggest challenge for the SWP was geography. The water had to cross the high Tehachapi Mountains to reach Southern California. To solve this problem, engineers built a series of enormous pumps. These pumps are so powerful, they lift a huge amount of water nearly 2,000 feet up and over the mountains. They use a very large amount of electricity, enough to power a small city. Together, the CVP and SWP created a system so big that people called it the plumbing of a continent. This amazing engineering allowed California's population to grow and its farms to feed the world. But this whole system was built on a problem. The builders believed the wet weather of the past would continue forever. 4. Who uses the water? California has a fundamental water problem. The state's geography creates a big mismatch. Most of the rain and snow falls in the northern third of the state. However, most of the people and the largest farms are in the drier central and southern parts. About 75% of the state's natural water supply is in the north, but about 80% of the water demand is in the south and the Central Valley. This imbalance is why California built its giant water projects. So, who uses all this water? California's developed water is split into three main categories. The largest share, about 50%, is for the environment. This water stays in rivers to support fish like salmon and keeps the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta healthy. About 10% goes to urban areas. This is the water for homes, schools, and businesses in cities like Los Angeles and San Diego. The final 40% goes to agriculture. This water irrigates the millions of acres of farmland that make California an agricultural leader. The numbers can be a little confusing. If we only count the water that is actively consumed by people, the story changes. In this view, agriculture's share is much bigger. Farms use about 80% of all the water consumed by human activities. The remaining 20% is used by cities. California's farms are very important for the country's food supply. This is why they have always received a large part of the state's water, which helps them grow food for millions. Not all crops are equal when it comes to water. Many farms grow water-intensive crops like almonds and pistachios. These nut trees need a lot of water every single year, even during a drought. It takes about 1 gallon of water to produce 1 almond. California exports more than half of its almonds to other countries. When California ships these nuts around the world, it is also shipping its water. This idea is called virtual water. The water is exported inside the food. This means California is sending its limited resource to other places, which makes saving water at home even more difficult. 5. The weather is changing. California's water system was built for the weather of the past, but now the weather is changing. This big change is called climate change, and it is making California a hotter and drier place. The droughts are longer and more serious. Some scientists call this a mega-drought. This means it is the driest time in more than 1,000 years. This is not just a temporary problem. It is becoming the new normal. The rising temperatures affect the water in many ways. For example, when the air is hotter, more water from reservoirs and rivers disappears into the air. But the biggest problem is in the mountains. The snow on the Sierra Nevada mountains has always been California's most important water supply. It is like a giant natural reservoir. In the winter, snow covers the mountains. In the spring and summer, this snow melts slowly. The melted snow flows into rivers and fills the state's reservoirs. This gives water to cities and farms during the long, dry summer. Now, this important system is in danger because of the warmer weather. More often, rain falls in the mountains instead of snow. Rain does not stay on the mountains, it runs off right away. The snowpack that does form is smaller, and this snow melts much earlier in the year and very fast. This can cause floods in the winter and leave very little water for the summer. California is losing its natural water bank. Scientists think the snowpack could get smaller by more than 50% by the end of this century. The state has another major water source, the Colorado River, but this river is also suffering from climate change. The amount of water in the river has gone down by about 20% since the year 2000. The two largest reservoirs in the country, Lake Mead and Lake Powell, are on this river. They are now at historic low levels. Because of this, the government has announced water shortages for the first time. California and other states must now take less water from the river. These changes to the snowpack and the Colorado River show that the old ways of managing water are not working in this new, hotter climate. 6. The system is breaking. The large water system built in the 20th century is now having serious problems. It was made for a different time with a different climate. In the 21st century, we can see that the system is breaking. The signs are everywhere in California. The big lakes that store water, called reservoirs, show this problem very clearly. Lake Oroville is one of the state's most important reservoirs. In 2021, the water in the lake dropped to a very low level. It was only 24% full. Because the water was so low, the power station at the dam had to stop making electricity. This happened for the first time ever. It shows that the reservoirs cannot always hold enough water for the state's needs anymore. The problem is not just with the water in lakes and rivers. It is also with the water deep under the ground, which is called groundwater. Farmers need a lot of water for their crops. When they do not get enough water from the reservoirs, they pump more groundwater. Now they are pumping it too fast. The water is not returning. This causes a very big problem. The land in the Central Valley is sinking. In some areas, the ground level is falling by 1 foot each year. This sinking damages roads, canals, and buildings. California is using up its underground water, which took thousands of years to collect. The Colorado River, which gives water to millions of people in Southern California, is also in trouble. There is less water in the river today because of the megadrought. Lake Mead, the country's largest reservoir, is at a dangerously low level. This forced the government to make new rules. For the first time, California and other states must take less water from the river. These cuts affect cities and farms. The old system promised enough water for everyone, but it cannot keep that promise now. The whole system is under great stress. 7. New ideas for water. California's old water system is not enough for the new, drier weather. The state needs new ideas to find more water and to use less of it. People are looking at different solutions to solve this big problem. One idea is desalination. This process takes salt out of ocean water to make it clean drinking water. California has some desalination plants. The biggest one is near San Diego. But this idea has problems. It uses a lot of energy, so the water is very expensive. The process also creates very salty water. This extra salt can be bad for fish and plants in the ocean. Because of these costs and problems, it is a difficult solution for the whole state. Another idea is recycling wastewater. This means cleaning used water from homes and businesses so it is safe to drink again. Some people call this toilet to tap. This method is often cheaper than desalination. Orange County has a large facility that cleans wastewater until it is very pure. Then they put it deep underground to mix with other groundwater. People were worried about drinking recycled water, but new rules now allow it because modern technology makes it very safe. Saving water, or conservation, is the cheapest and easiest solution. In cities, people are already using less water. They have new toilets and showers that use less water. They also change their green grass lawns to gardens with plants that do not need much water. Farms use most of California's water. Farmers can use new technology like drip irrigation, which gives water directly to the plant's roots. This method can save a large amount of water. For the first time, California also has a law to protect the water under the ground. For many years, people could pump as much groundwater as they wanted. This made the land sink in some areas. A law from 2014 called the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act changed this. It says local groups must make plans to manage their groundwater better. They must stop taking more water from the ground than nature puts back. This is a very important step for California's future. 8. A new future. California cannot build its way out of this water problem. For over 100 years, the state built bigger dams and longer canals to move water. This plan was for a different time when the climate was wetter. Now, with less rain and snow, the old system is breaking. It is not enough for the millions of people and farms in the state today. A big change in thinking is necessary. California needs a new water ethic, a new way to live with its dry land. This means adapting to the new reality and using restraint. It means everyone must learn to use less water. This change must happen in the state's farms and its cities. Farms use the most water in California, about 80% of it. This is a very large amount. To save water, farmers can shift to crops that are not so thirsty. For example, growing fewer almonds and more of something else can make a big difference. When California exports food, it also exports the water used to grow it. This virtual water leaves the state forever. Cities must also change their look. The traditional green grass lawn does not belong in a desert climate. Instead, cities can be redesigned to be more drought tolerant. This means using beautiful native plants in gardens and parks that do not need much water. The price of water is also a powerful tool. For many years, water has been too cheap, especially for some large farms. This low price encouraged waste. If water is priced to show its true value, people and businesses will be more careful with every drop. California is at an important crossroads. It can create a sustainable future by learning to live within its means. By making smart choices, it can be a model for other dry regions around the world. What do you think is the most important first step for California's new water future?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.